The 2025 Formula One season was supposed to be the year Max Verstappen solidified his legacy as the greatest driver in the sport's history. After dominating the 2024 season, bagging his fourth world title with ease, the stage was set for him to defend his crown. But what was meant to be another season of supremacy has instead turned into a crisis for both Verstappen and Red Bull. And with the introduction of new technical regulations in 2026, could this be the end of an era for Red Bull and Verstappen's pursuit of a fifth title? It's been a tough start to the 2025 season for Max Verstappen, the man who was expected to dominate again after his historic fourth world title in 2024 is instead finding himself battling for scrap. At the Bahrain Grand Prix, it became painfully clear that Red Bull's reign of dominance was no longer a given. Verstappen finished a shocking half a minute behind the winner, Oscar Piastri, leaving fans and pundits alike scratching their heads. The car, it seemed, was no longer the finely tuned machine it once was. Verstappen himself admitted that handling the RB21 had become a much more difficult task than expected. And it's not just the performance on the track, it's the pit stops, the strategy calls, and the overall sense that the team is no longer operating as smoothly as it did in its dominant years. The deeper issue, though, is that Verstappen's frustration isn't just with the car, it's with the team, and more specifically, with the people who are supposed to get the car back to where it needs to be. There's a growing sense that Red Bull, without Adrian Newey's magic touch, may have lost the spark that made them a dominant force in F1. Verstappen has made it clear that he's not happy with the development pace, especially when he feels like the team is behind the curve, still trying to fix issues they should have solved last season. Max Verstappen's relationship with Red Bull has always been one of deep integration. The team has practically been molded around him, not just as their star driver, but as the cornerstone of their entire philosophy. Over the course of 9 years, the Red Bull car has been designed with Verstappen's specific driving style in mind. Every aerodynamic tweak, every suspension adjustment, every strategy call has been made to ensure that he could extract the maximum performance from the car. For nearly a decade, Verstappen has driven the Red Bull car as if it was an extension of himself. He's been known to demand very specific traits from the car. Red Bull, understanding the driver they had in Verstappen, tailored their cars to meet his exacting standard. This synergy between Verstappen and the car was a huge part of their success. And it's no coincidence that when Red Bull dominated the grid, Verstappen was at the heart of it. And it's not just about the technical side of things. The way Red Bull operates as a team has also shifted. Where once Verstappen could rely on flawless execution, the issues that plagued their races this season, poor pit stops, strategic missteps, have begun to chip away at his confidence. The well-oiled machine that was once Red Bull now seems more like a work in progress, struggling to keep up with the rapid pace set by McLaren. It's not just the car that's lacking, it's the sense of unity and precision that Red Bull was once known for. Verstappen's frustrations aren't just with the car's lack of speed, they're with the entire system that used to put him in the best position to succeed. In an interview, Yuki Tsunoda, Verstappen's teammate for the 2025 season, made an interesting revelation. During a simulator test, Tsunoda was given the chance to experience Verstappen's setup, something that Verstappen has always preferred for its sharp and aggressive handling. It was an intriguing moment because Tsunoda, a driver known for his adaptability, actually found himself more comfortable with Verstappen's setup than he had anticipated. In fact, Tsunoda was able to drive quite well with it, even though it's a setup that many drivers find difficult to handle. This is where things get interesting. Verstappen, who has made a career out of extracting the most from a car that many would consider difficult to handle, has always demanded a sharp front end from his machine. His setup is extremely precise, and often more extreme than what other drivers would ask for. The fact that Tsunoda could adapt to it so quickly points to something more than just personal preference. It suggests that Verstappen's mastery of his car might not just be down to raw talent, but also to the years of development and testing that have gone into creating a machine that is perfectly suited to his driving style. However, Tsunoda's experience with Verstappen's setup also highlights the challenges Verstappen is facing now. The RB21, while still a fast car, isn't the same beast it once was. It's clear that Verstappen has to work harder to find his rhythm with the car, and even his preferred setups aren't delivering the kind of performance he's used to. As the 2025 season unfolds, it's becoming increasingly evident that there's a stark difference between the environment at Red Bull and the one at Tsunoda's former team, Racing Bull. Tsunoda, who was thrust into Red Bull's second seat after Sergio Perez's departure, has been getting first-hand experience in two very different team cultures. While Red Bull has been known for its precision, its engineering excellence, and its ability to extract the best from its cars, Racing Bulls had an approach that, though equally focused on performance, offered more flexibility and a more open approach to driver preferences. Tsunoda, having been part of Racing Bulls, noted that the operational methods between the two teams were completely different. In Racing Bulls, the approach was more relaxed in terms of how adjustments were made to the car. The feedback loop wasn't as intense, and adjustments would often come quickly, allowing the drivers to feel confident that they could shift things around if they weren't satisfied with the car's balance. The team's flexibility and adaptability were key strengths, but when Tsunoda transitioned to Red Bull, he was immediately struck by how meticulous and demanding the setup process could be. Red Bull's approach is far more methodical. Every detail is analyzed, and decisions aren't made lightly. However, what Tsunoda didn't initially realize, but quickly came to appreciate, was the level of precision and trust that had been built over the years with the team. Red Bull's philosophy, especially with Verstappen at the helm, is about pushing the boundaries of what's possible. The level of technical detail and the depth of their strategy are things that are simply on another level compared to Racing Bulls. The team's focus on tailoring the car specifically for Verstappen's driving style was not just a mere luxury, it became a necessity for their success. But with Verstappen no longer enjoying the same level of success, that luxury is now a weight, an expectation that the team must live up to, even as the car falls short of its previous heights. For Tsunoda, the stark contrast between the two teams has been eye-opening. At Racing Bulls, he enjoyed a more organic, driver-centric relationship with the team. At Red Bull, however, he's quickly realized that it's all about the engineering, with less room for deviation. It's not a bad thing. Red Bull is a top-tier team for a reason, but it highlights the pressure that Verstappen and his teammates are under to constantly meet these high standards. There's little room for error, and any slip-ups, like the pit stop blunders or strategic missteps, become amplified under this high-intensity environment. Ultimately, Red Bull's focus on precision and performance has created a world-class team, but it's also an environment that demands perfection. And when that perfection slips, as it has in the 2025 season, even a driver as talented as Verstappen can struggle. It's a high-stakes game, and right now, Red Bull is struggling to stay at the top. The idea of beating Max Verstappen at Red Bull, once laughable for many, is now being discussed seriously in 2025. The Dutchman, who had seemed invincible for so long, is now facing what could be the biggest challenge of his career. A car that isn't built for him, a team that is slowly unraveling, and a championship battle that, at least at this point, seems out of his reach. The question on everyone's mind is, can anyone under the current circumstances actually beat Verstappen at Red Bull? To answer that question, we first have to consider the unique position Verstappen finds himself in. For years, Red Bull has been his team. But with the ongoing regression of the RB21 and the looming departure of Adrian Newey, Verstappen's dominance is no longer guaranteed. The team is struggling to keep up with McLaren, and every race that passes brings more signs that Red Bull may be falling behind. Verstappen has been vocal about his frustration, and it's clear that for the first time in his career, he's not enjoying the same level of control that he once did. Yet, there's a catch. Verstappen is still one of the best drivers on the grid, if not the best. His talent is undeniable, and he has a unique ability to adapt and squeeze performance from a car, no matter how flawed. Even in the face of adversity, Verstappen's ability to drive around problems and extract more from a car than it should be capable of is something few others can do. It's this magic that has made him nearly unbeatable at Red Bull over the years. But here's where it gets interesting. If we look at the competition, McLaren has emerged as a serious threat. They've made incredible strides in 2025, establishing themselves as the dominant force on the grid. Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri have been exceptional, and McLaren's car is fast, reliable, and consistent. Everything Red Bull's RB21 is not. McLaren's rapid rise has been a wake-up call for Red Bull, and for Verstappen, it's a reminder that no matter how good you are, you can't always win if the car isn't up to par. The real question is whether Red Bull, under the current leadership and with the loss of key figures like Newey, can turn things around in time to save Verstappen's 5th title bid. If they can't, Verstappen might find himself in the difficult position of trying to fight not just against McLaren, but against the fading power of Red Bull itself. And with the 2026 regulations coming into play, the situation could get even worse for the team. Red Bull is set to take on the task of developing their own power unit, and without Honda's support, their weaknesses may become even more apparent. Verstappen may be their best asset, but even he might not be able to hold off the tide of change. So, is it possible to beat Verstappen at Red Bull? The answer is complex. Despite all the cracks showing, you still can't count Max out. If history has taught us anything, it's that he thrives in chaos. The only question is, how long can he keep carrying the weight of a faltering empire before it breaks him or he breaks away? But is Verstappen already looking for the exit door? You're not gonna wanna miss what we'll uncover next. Stay tuned and subscribe for more videos.